You still have that on?
Yeah, still on.
Well, Nettie, you were over there 3 times with your dad.
Huh?
Weren't you over there 3 times with your dad, or was it only twice?
Twice with the folks.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's right.
And then you and I were over there in
You and I were
72.
over there.
When are you going back to Norway?
I would
Well,
like to.
I would like to go anytime.
I have one uncle living over there yet.
You still have an uncle?
And we had a letter from his daughter. She stays with him.
My Norwegian is so good, you know.
I sure know.
That when I landed in Oslo, I couldn't speak with anybody there. I called up my cousin and they couldn't understand one word, you know. And when I got to the other places, they couldn't understand me either. So I don't know what.
But you've been practicing ever since now, so you're pretty good.
Sig and I do a little practicing,
Yeah.
but he's a slow learner. For my Norwegian.
Yeah, we enjoy Norway. We'll be going back again, I think, in a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go, but I don't know. This seems like when you get to be 85 years old.
Well, yeah.
Well, my uncle is 97.
Really?
Your uncle is 97 now, and still very well.
Yes, he was able to be up and around, but he liked to lay down a lot. And he never was hungry. He never cared to eat much, but he did still liked his bread and milk and coffee.
Yeah. Bread and milk before he goes to bed at night, I suppose.
I suppose.
Has to have that soul.
He gives his thanks to the Lord. He says, I'm so happy that I can have my bread and coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very good Christian people.
They are.
At
And
least your relatives are.
What?
At least your relatives, all of yours.
Well, I'm sure Nettie's are.
That's
too.
what I mean.
Yeah. And they can all deliver a pretty good sermon.
Oh, you
They-
that?
Well,
Yeah.
I did. Nettie and I were invited to a funeral over there. One of her distant aunts or somebody in Nettie's family had passed away when we were there, so it was by invitation. So we were asked. And then, of course, after the funeral was over, they got up. Someone got up and they started talking about this lady, and they praised her so much. And finally, the chairman had to get up and say that we had to quit this. He said it's getting lunchtime, and we can't keep doing this all afternoon. One wanted to give a better talk than the other one.
Well, isn't that something?
They did. That's a fact.
That's customary, I guess.
Well, that was after the funeral.
Yeah, I didn't think they were ever going to quit.
You were getting more hungry all the time.
And they asked the whole family. Everyone stood up and said a little history about them.
The immediate family,
Yeah.
You wonder if they'd be strong enough to do that, you know.
Yeah, I think there were 5 or 6 in the family.
Now, was the funeral held at the church?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's held in that old church. It was built in
Spangry.
oh,
it's Spangry, boy,
1040, I believe.
And such a
If I
beautiful
might,
cemetery
I know.
there.
Yeah,
My grandma's the grave is there, and I think they had buried another person on top of grandma's.
that's what I asked. My uncle took us over there, and I asked him. I said, "I'd like to see your wife's grave and Grandpa and Grandma." Well, he says, "I don't know if I can find them, but he says right over here lays what was her name? Josefa was her name." But she said, I remember they talked about Grandma and Grandpa, but they were buried on top of one another. Whoever died first, and then the second one buried on top.
Yeah, well, there's such a shortage of land there that they have to do that. I guess.
Well, they do that here too now, in out west.
Yeah, is it after 20 years or something that you can bury on top of an old?
I had a cousin that just died here a month or two ago. A month or so ago here in California, or not really, but California, southern part. And she died, and her husband died here about 10 years ago. And she was buried in the same lot, but she was buried on top of him because there wasn't room on the side.
Yeah, we were down in New Orleans, and there, you know, they can't dig. See, New Orleans is 8 foot below sea level, so they can't have any graves in the ground. They have everything in concrete vaults above the ground. And there, they had a list of all the people buried in this one vault, and there was, I can't remember now exactly, but it's 14 or 16 in one vault.
God, that must be tough. They just didn't get along good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they have to. Yeah. So you farmed out here on the old homestead, and then there you had two daughters.
Yeah.
Natalie and Gloria.
Of course, you don't have this thing on now.
It's on, but that's right.
During the tough times, by farm growing anyway, times are tough, and the farmer has it pretty tough. But by golly, I managed to accumulate 1,440 acres.
And that's pretty.
And I wanted to keep on going, but they was telling me how foolish I was and how old I was.
Yeah.
And so on, so I had to quit. But I was just getting started good.
Yeah, it's hard to give up. But you've been very active, and you've both helped the community so much.
Thank you.
Well, we've had a pretty good marriage.
Yeah, I'm
Pretty
sure.
good life all the way through. Only we've had, like everybody, you have sorrow and you have gladness and you have tough times and you have good times.
Yeah. Well, you're quite a carpenter too. Have you brought up about his
But
carpentry?
we hope we have the friends. They sure showed it now lately. Since Norman has been sick, we've had a lot of visitors.
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't
And
learn
we
that.
enjoyed that very much.
Oh, look, I was with my dad a little bit, but we were home farming and us boys, the kids, and taking care of the stock and everything like that. And he was out carpentering, so we didn't really get to, by the time. But then, after a while, I went to Minnesota, and I worked for my uncle, worked on the railroad down there. And when I worked for my uncle, we carpentered. And of
Well,
course,
I
he was
think
a
I'm going to
carpenter,
put some
good one.
coffee up.
And I learned more from than otherwise. And then Sig and I are quite carpenters.
Yeah, I know
You
that
learned
you're-
quite little from me there when we worked.
I remember Sig and I was doing our first job. It was at Grace Nelson's, his mother-in-law's place. She had the upstairs there. And she wanted the upstairs fixed. And we said, well, we'd do it. So we worked on it a couple of days. And by golly, then the ladies come up to inspect it. Well, the third day we tore it out, started over again. So that's our first. Was Siggy's and I first job.
It was slower the second time than the first time.
I think you did quite a few jobs together in the community here, though.
Oh yeah, we worked together quite a little.
Well, the one thing I like about working with Sig, he's nice to work with. He likes to do the work, and then I hand him the tools and the stuff.
You built our fireplace too.
Yeah, I rebuilt it.
Rebuilt
I
it.
like about this fireplace. We got a letter just for Christmas here from Anderson. Reverend Anderson used to be here. You remember him?
Yeah.
And
We
he-
hear from him
And
too.
he said telling to Nettie, he says, I just can't get over. He's up here farm, and he says, then of course he had Norman built he said he'd do some brickwork in town there. And he says, I looked at it and he said, he did. He said, it's nice. And he says, well, you must have done quite of that before. Well, no, he said, I built a couple of them, I told him. But I says, after you build two of anything, I said, you're a professional.
Yeah.
He couldn't get over that. And here some people go to school and to lay a block, and brick for a year or two. Under apprentice, be apprentice under somebody.
Many things by watching a professional work for a couple hours even helps a lot. Well, a couple of days rather.
If you're interested in it, that's
right.
what it takes. Or carpenter work or anything that you want to.
Yeah, so we got started with our historical society here in town, and then you offered to that you'd give us the old schoolhouse from out at your place if we pull it to town. That is
That schoolhouse set down there. That's the first one we went to school with. It was about 2.5, at least 2.25.
Oh, that's the same school that was over by John Hanson.
And they run out of children there about that time. But there was Elmont started, and the district run some up around there, and they went there, and then there's nobody left to go, so they moved it up to our place. Well, then when when my uncle came back from Canada, he left for Canada. That's why he had a flock of kids. And then, of course, he wanted back again, but he couldn't get it then, you know. Well, they come over to our place then for the younger ones and finished up. But because the district didn't want to pay the tuition for them. And, but the rest of them went to Elmont. Which is the way it should be if you have a good school within 4 or 5 miles, you know.
Yeah, I remember taking Evelyn Bateman taught out there. I remember taking her out with a team in sled or something one winter. I think she stayed at Tina's Ramson's when she taught.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think that's before they were married.
Reichels, I believe it was. Reichels, wasn't it, or was it Tina's?
Yeah, I.
No,
Well, yeah.
It is Tina, Reichels.
One or the other. That could be Reichels, yeah.
Yeah, well, it could have been Tina's Ramsden too. He probably moved up there again on that Ramsden place, you know, or where the coal mine was.
Yeah.
Maybe Reichel had already left. I don't know when she taught. I don't remember what year it was, but
yeah, you in that neighborhood now. Your dad was a carpenter, so was Peck, and John Hanson was a painter. So you had quite a area there.
Peck was a good one. He was a real carpenter.
Yeah,
he knew his square.
He was all right, I guess.
Well, my dad wasn't really a carpenter. He was a cabinet maker, you know.
I see.
A window and door and sash maker and things like that. Make frames and things. That's what he took up in the old country. Well, he was in the cavalry, and of course he was in that for 6 years.
Oh.
And then, of course, when he was 14 or so, when they finished school, grade school, then they take up some kind of trade of some kind.
Did Peck build Templeton's house?
Part of it.
He did build. I know for sure the big barn on where Eddie lives.
You mean Templeton House here in town? Yes, he built this last big addition, or the part of the upstairs and all that. I helped with some of it too. Well, I was just helping that time. My brother worked for him. I believe they put this addition that runs this way on.
Oh, yeah.
Not the whole house.
No.
Well, you've laid quite a lot of block here in town too, cement block.
Oh, a lot of them.
Yes. Like our church basement, you were along on that, and the parsonage, and I suppose in the Legion Hall.
Well, I started there, but then they contracted it out to a couple other fellows. I was alone and it took too long to get around. I didn't have time for that. And we were doing it we weren't getting paid for it at that time. You know,
No, that was gratis, I suppose, yeah.
So, but that wasn't the idea of getting paid, but then you didn't have the time to put up what is it, 80 feet long and 100 and be 40 feet wide or 30 feet wide, 30 some feet wide.
Well, I imagine, yeah.
30 feet anyway. And that takes quite a while for one fella to do everything.
Yeah.
So nobody helped carry the block or mix the mud sometimes or anything. So I laid a layer or two, and then I had to leave. Something else. I was farming.
Yeah. For being not very tall, I remember you could run pretty fast. And I don't remember. I wasn't there at the time, but you had a race in New Salem with August Schwartz, was it? And that's after you were married. Mm-hmm. Were you living in New Salem at the time?
Well, I don't know. I suppose I was.
But he was quite an athlete.
No, he was.
You ran right by him, I understand.
Well, I didn't the first time. He was a little more educated than I was, for that. So when I was next to him, didn't know better. And of course, when I started out, he held me back a little bit, so he got a good start, and I didn't get one. So I didn't go very fast that time. But then the second time, I got away from him a little bit. That's when And then depends on how scared you are too.
Yeah.
I run faster than that a lot of times when I was afraid.
But he was a natural athlete, and
He was a
I
good
bet
one.
that was pretty hard on him to lose. I mean, I'm sure.
And we got the whole sum of 50 cents when we were finished.
Yeah.
Well, for being the toughest guy to compete with, on everything was Punch Tempe, though. Not for running, I could, like on 300-foot dash,
This chair is a little hard
it
to
was
move.
easy. But then if you went any longer, he didn't smoke or chew or swear or do anything out of
I
the
don't
way,
know if you noticed this.
He was long, and then he was strong. He was stout.
Yeah. He's always been in good shape.
Always.
Yeah.
You never did wrestle, did you?
No, I just fooled around them.
But out in there in Pumpkin Center, they did a lot of that. I think.
I've wrestled with Punch, and everything. He used to take us on about 5 or 6, one after another, just to
For practice, for getting in shape. Yeah.
So I don't know if you can call it wrestling or not.
Was Leo any good?
Gladys, you should put the Geth through.
Well, no, not like Punch.
Not nearly as good as Punch.
Yeah, I thought it was nice.
He was a lot better than some of them.
Yeah, Punch would just wear out his opponent.
Well, she's made quite a few nice
And he's
things.
strong. He got a hold of my wrist, and I thought he was going to break it off just by
She makes a lot of these
holding
things with the hoops.
push.
Yeah.
Squeezing.
Gloria made that, gave me for
He's
Christmas
strong.
when
Oh,
I
awesome.
brought it down here.
Yeah, he still is.
And,
Oh, we used to load.
she sold quite a little,
The
but
box
she
cars in Elmont, we had it.
She used to make most all of
All
Willard's
the downtown,
shirts.
all the
Tailor-made and restaurants and.
So did he.
Really nice work.
He lived in town.
His Grandma Sharp is good.
He'd
to
come out there, and he'd always get the toughest place about
So
to
I
see
don't know
that.
if she picked it up from her or what.
But he could move it back into that toughest place. Load out the best chunks
I
and
don't know.
pull out the first of any guy there,
Exactly.
He loaded such large ones, all by himself and never said anything to anybody, just.
yeah, we had senior citizens here, but
And just worked. And sometimes he
we were just
when he
sitting there,
worked,
bunch of
and then
us.
he worked for Thor
I
sometimes.
think it was 12.
Thor was I'll
And
tell you about him.
somebody
He
said,
come out
well, I
here,
don't
he's the one that
think we should have
hosted
these
at the
80
same
years
time
old
we did
serving
He's the fellow that we emigrated with. Out
Yeah.
there.
Well,
And he
I
bought
kinda
this coal
started
mine
to
and
laugh.
he operated that.
Gladys just
And,
says,
he'd
well,
be
I
home
don't
on the
know,
farm,
we
and that was
can't go
about
by
5
that,
miles.
because she said if
Where
we
the-
take all
where the
these
store lived.
80 years old, there won't be
He'd walk
anybody
up there
left.
before
And there were
he-
6 of us in the 80 years
Before he went to, run all the way in the snow up there,
And here
walking
Hazel
around.
will be 80. Now he's
That didn't make a difference.
And then Minnie won't be so far from there.
Oh, no.
I don't know just how
No,
old.
she's about my age.
Yeah, I suppose she's got a few years to go.
Well,
And Nana, she'll be
People were different them days. Like
80
we had
now this fall, I think.
well, I was telling you, right,
And Pearl. They
southeast
weren't
we had
there
Swedes,
early.
the war. And then beyond that, we had Hungarian,
Frances,
Russian.
now she's 85.
Well, they just grunted. You didn't
And
understand them,
Arnie,
to
I don't know
start
how
with,
she is, but I know
They've
I'm
been
sure
here.
she's over 80.
But after you got to know them, they were
That's what they
really
say.
nice.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She
And,
said she is.
They were
Oh,
humble.
did she?
But everyone
Well,
had
she
a
does
leader,
pretty good
like it seemed like. I guess they were used to that in the older
And
country.
there's Patty,
Somebody that they had to look up to.
Pauline,
And,
and Mrs.
and they didn't want to change
Oscar.
languages
She
very
comes
well.
to-
They couldn't.
She doesn't come to Central, but she goes down there and eats. They go
Second
down there
generation
and
or
they-
third generation also.
But she's
They
the-
just
yeah,
do
I
too
know.
much. Now, by golly, they're just as Americanized
So
as they
there's-
are.
Yeah, they have
And
they're mixing, mingling, and
And they're smart. They're bright people.
they're especially good in
But you know, now
in mathematics
you
and
see some of
figures.
these ladies who
They can figure the cost of things and
They're right in
And
their
I
head.
remember
right,
when
yes.
we got to be 50s, 60s.
You don't
I
fool
found
around
my
that one, no, sir.
kids used to go and say, just think Dad's
And we had a lot of
3 years old now.
Hungarian.
Yeah.
Ancient.
Yeah.
And when you got that
Hungarians
age
or
yourself,
whatever
you
you call
don't,
them, I
you
don't
don't
know.
think of
Yeah,
them.
some we call sometimes
I think we lived
the
different.
German
Yes,
Russians.
I think so too.
Some of
They
them
had
came
more-
from
they
Germany
had
into
harder
Russia and then
work,
from
yeah.
Russia here.
Our labor work,
Right.
Well, they were kind of sort of different
We've
though.
got it so easy
Than the
now.
Hungarians.
And still, we're more busy.
So it seems
Yeah.
like.
On the
Yeah.
road.
The Hungarians, with the Thiels were Hungarians, I think. Yeah.
Bulgaria, we call them.
They would have
Bulgaria.
time to go and visit really. And I remember when we were on the farm, we had company for the
Yes, they're
Sunday,
there.
or
They're
we'd go
smart.
someplace. Drive the horses.
And of course, at that time, the Germans that came from Germany, you know, they didn't want
On
nothing to
Sunday
do with
mornings, drive to Sims. We lived up
Hungarian
in
Russians and
Australia.
all that.
Oh,
You
it
know,
seemed
they were a
like-
different breed. And,
Yeah.
but now
Horses and double buggy.
they're just mixed, and there's so many of them in there. They're just all one.
How far
There's
was
very
it?
few Germans, true Germans left.
I
They're all
worked still.
mixed up.
Harvey and them were about 5
It
miles.
seemed like when they first came here, like
That's about what we were.
the Germans settled south of New Salem and north New Salem.
Couple miles.
And New Salem, and New Salem.
And New Salem, and the Norwegians in the Sims area, and the German, Russians, and Hungarians in the southwest of Alma.
Well, they settled in, or come to Glenella, see?
Yeah.
And then they,
Well, it's either
yeah,
way.
branched out.
then
Like a
they
very
went south from there, and north.
Like all these automatic washers and dryers we have, and telephones and TVs and
And of course,
stereos and everything.
further south than New Salem, they had a lot of no, Bohemian. No,
It's a
no,
different
Yeah.
world.
Bohemians.
There's Bohemians out there where the Big Hart Hall was, you know,
Big Hart
that's all
Hall.
we
Buy your dinner in packages, all you had to do
About all
was
of them at that time.
stick it in the oven.
Yeah. The Slavics and Heliskis and Tolmans. But Ormistons were not Bohemians, I don't think.
Yes, they were.
Were they?
Sure
Yes,
Sure does.
but you know, even George talked. You couldn't tell by his
No.
talk. You know, I don't know, for some reason.
Some of them you could. They had a kind of sing-song. Kind of,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
One of the preachers he got when he was in the
Oh,
hospital, so he gave
Yep, George.
she come over here
Young
one
George.
day. I says, when I go to New Salem now, I'm going to buy a
the old man,
poinsettia because they had
old
some
grandpa,
brandy.
George's
I thought they were
grandfather, I guess he was quite a checker player. He
No,
would
she says,
drove around
"Don't
in a
do
signal
that,
horse
because
and
I've
buggy,
gotta
and
get
he'd
rid
always
of
have a
some of those
checkerboard with him.
We'd bring him home.
Yeah,
She said,
stop
"You
anybody
had
on the
four
road
great
and
big ones."
challenge him for came with checkers.
So then I didn't buy one, so we brought this one over.
Yeah, there's a lot of history.
And we, my brother and I
You see,
had a well machine one time. We poured the well out by the Ormisons and Poliskis
Kind
and
of long
all
feet.
those people. So we got to know them quite a bit.
In the hospital quite a while.
They're like to gamble a little bit. Well, not really. Well, for money, you know,
Well,
like
John Shannon.
small games.
Penny ante, like
nickel handy, and so you could lose a couple, $3, you know, or something like that.
His
So
back bothers him.
we was playing there, and I don't know if my brother made anything or not. Probably he lost it. I don't know. But
Wasn't it bleeding?
I made $2. And one night, you know, by golly, you know, the old fella, he stuck around quite a while because he's going to get this $2 back, but he had to go back to Chicago.
Oh, that's George's brother.
George's old George's dad.
Oh, is that right? Is that
They
right?
came from Chicago. That's why they spoke
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were quite a guys.
Well, I have coffee ready.
Okay.
Norman called me after we got home. He said he made a mistake on where he was born. He was born on his mother's farm in mother's place at West Fossen, which is a town about 30 miles southwest of Oslo, or about the same distance from Drammen. And the Gesheim, that was where his father's was from. That is a town north and east of Oslo, pretty close to the Gardermoen, that big airport, about 5-6 miles from the Gardermoen airport. So that, he was born on where his mother came from, but his father was from Gesheim. So that ends our visit with Norman, and we're glad to have done this. It's a keepsake.